Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Pinches?
Well, if we're just gonna say we're waiting for another plan, then we should close down the coastal planning department. I mean, I think that we have an obligation to accept applications and move forward with the LCP we have in place. You know, if the coastal commission says they wanna say no to everything until we get a new LCP, then that's another issue, but I don't think we need to basically send people a letter or tell them at the front desk that we're gonna deny you taking or accepting the application, waiting for something to happen that may not happen within the next few years. I think we have an obligation to people to, you know, like I say, if we're not going to take that attitude, then we might as well close down the department over there. I mean, we you know, things don't just stop because we're waiting for another plan. I mean, we have an LCP that's in place, and until it's, first of all, it's not even proved to be insufficient. I mean, you could make a strong argument with little that goes on the coast that your existing LCP is the one that you're gonna adopt for your new one. So, but I think it makes little sense to, you know, there is a risk that anytime a person goes into the building and planning department and puts his money down for an application, there's a risk that it's gonna get slowed up, or powers that are above our control that'll stop it or slow it up. But to tell people that, you know, just forget about it until we do another LCP, and then they ask, well, when's that gonna be done? Well, we don't know, it'll be done in a few years. That's not acceptable. That's government at its worst. I don't think that's not acceptable to me.
But Supervisor, if I may, through the chair, but we're talking about coastal plan amendments. We're not talking about plans. We're not talking about projects. Big difference here. I mean,
Well, amendment, yeah, I mean, that's still a project. You know, it may take a coastal amendment to proceed, but I don't think we could tell applicants over there that just we're not accepting them because we're waiting for another plan to come through. I mean, sure, there's a risk they can take, and they need to be known of that risk. And any landowner owner in the coastal zone, I think, already knows that risk now. But I just don't think we can just shut the door on them and say we're not accepting any applications.
Supervisor Smith?
Well, I think to Supervisor Colfax's comments, I mean, an application is not the same as an amendment, and the coastal planning division certainly has plenty of things to be doing. And I don't sense that we have enough information here. We don't have a planning report that's addressing this issue besides your verbal report. And I don't think we can say that this is a parallel process to the general plan. I think what we went through was less than desirable. The idea that we looked at 50-some requests for amendments to the existing general plan because we didn't have our general plan up to date in a timely manner was cumbersome and it wasn't the ideal way to proceed. So I wouldn't want to set us up for another scenario like that. And as Supervisor Colfax points out, this is not the same relationship. I mean, the county doesn't have the same relationship vis-a-vis the Coastal Commission that it does to its own general planning process. So we've got another layer of complexity here that doesn't lend itself to just sort of simple solutions, because there aren't any. And the fact that we can't get this local coastal plan updated in a fashion that we would like is a challenge. So I think we have to look at what are the options we're going to do to address it. But I don't think just saying, you know, going forward now and let's hear them is gonna work. I don't think that's the MO that we ought to be using, because I think we're gonna set people up for a problematic situation. And I think it needs more discussion. We're gonna need more information if we're supposed to make a discussion on a policy level.
You know, clearly it's getting late and you have other things to do. If you want, I could meet with Ray and the two of us together, try and bring forward more kind of background information, the numbers that we might be talking about of amendments and those kinds of things, and then really clearly lay out what your options are, and we could bring that to a future meeting if you want.
Supervisor Delaware?
Well, I think that's fine, but from what I'm gathering, there's nothing to indicate that the LCP is out of date, other than the Coastal Commission thinking, or the staff of the Coastal Commission thinking it is. We haven't made that declaration that I'm aware of. And if there's no timeline on it, then we're the local governing body, not the the coastal commission. They may have an unduly influence over our decisions, which I believe is a problem, but that's my opinion. But we also have a responsibility to move these applications forward. And if I was an applicant and I went through this process in the county and took it forward and I was denied because the staff at the coastal commission said and convinced the commission themselves, hey, the County of Mendocino's LCP is out of date. You know what, if I was Pacific Legal Foundation, I'd be salivating, because I'd take it and I'd run with it. And they've done that, and they've beat them before. There's a complete boondoggle with that commission. And we are the ones that need to say whether our LCP needs to be updated. And if we haven't made that call, from what I'm gathering from what council's saying, there's no lifeline to it. There's no definitive timeline. It's not like 20 years, it's done. So we have to move forward with these applications. We need to take them. That's our responsibility. We can't take responsibility for the commission. That's their own hole they dig. We need to take care of our shop here.
Well, we could certainly bring back an assessment of, what went into someone saying that the LCP was not up to date or needed to be updated, and that could be part of your deliberations.
I would concur with that. Applicants that have for 1, 2, maybe 3 years received our form letter saying, thanks very much, but come back in a year. So maybe a 3-year delay already, then we're looking at not even starting this LCP until 2009 with a 3-year completion. There's 4 additional years. I concur that this is another ATM machine with the County of Mendocino towards applicants. I don't know how many amendments there are being submitted and have been denied for 1, 2, 3 years. But even if it's just one, if I was that applicant and I heard that, we're not going to take you up for another 4 years, I would be seeking legal remedy. I mean, that's just common sense. Someone else said it. This is government at its worst. So I would like a report back with statistics, maybe breaking it out to amendments that don't change the density, that could be looked at, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so that we can make informed decisions and try, if nothing else, try and keep the county out of the litigation situation. Again, here I am sitting into my 4th year, and we have so many undone plans for so many years that they're starting to choke us off. And it's working to the advantage of certain groups that I distaste very much, and it's not working to the benefit of the citizens as a whole. And so we need to get past that, start getting some of these things done, but at least in this regard, an additional 4 years to me is unacceptable, so I need to hear some options.
Okay. I just point out we are on the homeward stretch on general planning UBEC, and we shouldn't forget it, because it's taken a lot of effort to get here.
Yeah. Supervisor Smith.
Well, along those lines, if you're going to be looking at this issue and bringing it back to us, I would suggest looking at the city of Fort Bragg, because they've been going through updating their local coastal plan. Let's look at their experience. Let's see what they're doing. Let's see why they're doing it. What are the timeframes? How timely is their update compared to ours? And I think it's a local comparative that we ought to look at.
Okay.
Supervisor Coker?
Yeah, just very briefly, beyond just taking a look at it, what I would suggest is we take a look at some of the things that have been brought forward, people who've come forward and have gotten that letter saying, sorry, come back some other time.